countries in the world have discovered the potential in the Jewish tourist and have actively started to market vacations which are potentially lucrative for Jews, as we found out when we attended the International Mediterranean Tourism Market. The Portuguese tourism minister Alfonso Mesquita Nunes explains how his country has created a Jewish route for Jewish tourists who want to discover the country's very fascinating roots in the Jewish tradition.
We created the roots of the Jewish legacy with the Jewish quarters all over the country. There are plenty of them, and in a religious but also in a cultural way. So it's not just a religious point of view. And jointly with other conditions of the country, like its safety, like its gastronomy, with Jewish influences also, can be a very good option for a holiday destination. I think that there are plenty of reasons, not only the Jewish legacy, which is a very important one, but also other reasons to visit Portugal. In the gastronomy, you have Jewish influence in the architecture, in the urban planning. You can see in several places the Jewish influence. And there are villages in Portugal which are clearly Jewish-inspired urban planning. And it's very interesting.
Nixon Young, who works for the Tanzanian tourism authorities, explains there's a resurgence of Jewish visitors to his country, as well as places to get kosher food.
There is a Jewish community in Tanzania, and most of them are in Dar es Salaam and Arusha in Tanzania. The Jewish food is mainly found in most hotels and lodges. Yeah, that's where in their menu they have included this Jewish food.
The trade officer at the Brazilian embassy in Tel Aviv, Regina Vidage, tells us about a very vibrant Jewish history and life in her home country.
Brazil has, I would say, the second largest Jewish community in South America. It's around 100,000 people spread over Brazil, but mainly in São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and the south. The Jewish tourist will find a very, very warm community with a lot of synagogues. The Brazilians, they are not racist. In Brazil, you don't feel anti-Semitism. I think that some people open to receive foreigners, whatever their religion. Kosher became very trendy in Brazil. All the supermarkets you will find, let's say, shelves especially dedicated to kosher food. You have more than 300 trademarks of products, kosher products, and different kinds of ashgacha. And you have kosher restaurants. It won't be a problem to buy kosher products as well.
Ilan Azovic of Kosher Montenegro, who also serves as the European Jewish Parliament member of his country, talks about the renaissance of the Montenegrin Jewish life, which tourists can enjoy side by side with the ancient Jewish history of the country.
Montenegro have a really rich history of Judaism, and now with a huge help from European Jewish Parliament, we're going to have a new established Jewish community in Montenegro, first Jewish synagogue and culture center. So it's going to be an amazing move, a really big step for Jewish tourism in Montenegro.
Katarzyna Sobieska, the Polish Deputy State Secretary at the Ministry of Sports and Tourism, pitches Poland as one of the most fascinating places in Europe to trace a 1,000-year Jewish history.
Our past history, especially during the Second World War, all monuments concerning this time are very important for Jewish people and for Jewish tourists. But nowadays we are notice a small change that, for instance, young generation delegation come to Poland not only to visit these places, but to meet Polish friends and to go to clubs, to see some other interesting places, museums, culture events, festivals. And this is, I think, very also important. In many Polish cities, especially in the big cities like Warsaw, Gdańsk, Kraków, of course, there are many kosher Jewish restaurants, so everybody could find a good food.
Ecuador is not a country that one associates with vibrant Jewish life, but turns out, as Oscar Ramirez, the consul of Ecuador in Israel, tells us, his country is one of the biggest manufacturers of kosher foods in Latin America.
We have around 100 families, Jewish families in Ecuador. It's a small community. They are mostly located in Quito, which is the capital, and in the second largest city, which is Guayaquil, a smaller community. And they are very much engaged with Ecuadorian life. It's a small migration, but that has been there for a very long time. We have synagogues, of course, both in Quito and in Guayaquil. The community manages their own synagogues. Some of them bring their rabbis from Israel. Kosher restaurants, as you understand, there's only 100 families, and they are divided, so not so much. But they do have their own communities, and I know that they have meetings every Friday. Actually, in Ecuador, we produce some kosher food for mostly the United States market.
Croatian ambassador to Israel, Pierre Simonovic, talks about the fascinating tour of East meets West for Jews who want to come discover traditions of both Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews, which are both present in his country.
In Croatia, you have different Jewish traditions. You have Ashkenazim tradition in the north, you have Sephardim tradition in Split. In Dubrovnik, you have, for example, a very old Jewish presence. And to a new Jewish presence, I mean, Croatia is one of the famous spots in the not exclusively Jewish cinematography, but you know, the Fiddler on the Roof has been filmed in an original location in Croatia. And that location is preserved as it was during the set. So some of the Jewish tourists are visiting the spot when Fiddler on the Roof has been filmed.
It is fascinating to see how many countries have tapped onto the potential of the lucrative Jewish tourist, who in most cases bring with them the high end of the spending habits. For Jane 1, I'm Ron Jacobson in Tel Aviv.